In this video, I'm going to show you how to install these tow mirrors on this GMC Yukon. Let's get into it. We're going to take this cover off. Just use a pick or a straight blade screwdriver. Just in the lower side right here, there's a little area where you can get that pick underneath and pop it out. It's just clipped in. Where the pull handle is, there's a little cover right here. Just use a pick, get underneath here, and it pops right out. We'll take that screw out right there. Use a 7mm socket. Comes out. Near the pull handle, we're going to take those two screws out. Same 7mm socket. Underneath, there's two screws. Again, same 7mm socket. Take those out. Now we're going to take a trim tool, and we have all these push pins. Just go around the door panel and pop them out. And even on the top, you're gonna pop these out. Might need two trim tools. There we go, popped off. You can see how this is clipped in up top. With the trim tool, you want to make sure that you get below where this piece goes. You don't want to go in between these two pieces, because then you're going to break the door panel. So just stay below that piece in between the weather stripping. We're going to disconnect the cable right here. Just push down on the tab. You should be able to release it. That slides out, and the ball on the end of the cable comes off. Now we'll disconnect the connector. First is a retainer for the wire. Just use a trim tool, get under there, pop that out. Then there's a little lock right here. You have to slide back. You push down, and then this ratchets back. You can disconnect the connector and slide it away. Now we're going to pop this out of the way. There's a little push pin right here. Just use a trim tool, get underneath there, pop that out. And then this is clipped in right there. And it's kind of slid on. You can just slide this out. And temporarily, we can just slide this out of the way. You don't have to take it off completely. Disconnect the connector right here. Just push down on the tab. It slides right out. Then take the trim tool, pop these retainers out. We're going to remove these nuts. Use a 10mm socket. Before I take the last one out, just want to support the mirror on the back side, just to prevent it from falling. Take that off. You can grab the mirror. It might be stuck on there a little bit. It's because there is a clip at the top. You just kind of got to force it out a little bit. Or you can use a trim tool. pop that out. Slides out, push the grommet in, and it pops right out. And take the new tow mirror. We're gonna slide the wiring harness through first and line the studs up. Get the nuts started. Once you get one nut on there, good, you can let go and get the other ones on. Just gonna tighten this one down a little bit. There we go, and then snug these down. There's a rubber grommet right here. You want to just pull that down. If you can set that up before you bolt it down, that would be ideal. But it's okay to do it this way as well. Just use some needle nose pliers and pull that down. And that will seal all the way around. Pull that through like that. And then push these down over here. Get those to line up. That's good. Take the connector, line the connector up, lock that down. If your vehicle does not come with a connector to connect these other two lights, then you're going to have to wire it in, and we're going to show you those steps now. If it does, then you can just connect that connector and put the door panel back on, and you'll be good to go. We're going to remove the speaker, use a 7mm socket, take this screw out. You can use a trim tool. Pop the speaker out. We'll disconnect the connector. Just push down on the tab, slide that out. Just use a trim tool and pop this retainer off and set that aside. This is the wiring harness that we're going to use. So we have the connector on this end, and we have to feed the wire through here, through the accordion boot right here, out to underneath the hood where the fuse box is. So let's pop this off right here, this grommet. Pull this in. We have to stab through here. If you can, yeah, we'll just do that. We're gonna have to use one of these. These are for running wire harnesses. You can go through the boot. It is very sharp. Just make sure you're not gonna hit any of the electrical wires, and you don't wanna stab yourself. Just be careful. That's just gonna go through there. Just like that. You don't have to go too far with it. I just twisted these together just so it's easier to run these. I can plug this connector in here and slide the two wires through here. Once it's through, I can pull that through, and I can pull the wires through. I just want to leave a little bit of slack just in case. Now we're gonna pull off this accordion. We have to go through there so that we can get the wire into the cab. Just taking a pick, and from the bottom, we're just gonna pop this off. This just pops out. Might need a trim tool. That unclips, just like that. And we're just going to disconnect this connector here, just at the top where this is. It's kind of like a ratchet. You just pop that out, slide down, and this pops out. You disconnect the door connector. That slides out, just makes it easier. At this point, if I take a small piece of brake hose or brake line, slide this in here, being careful not to break the accordion. And if you have to, you can pop the inside out as well, the grommet. Just pull outwards. Just trying to get this through. And I got it through. The reason why you don't want to use this tool for this is you don't want to stab any of the wires or break the accordion, and also there's no curve to this, so having it be able to curve is a little bit easier. Now we can run the end of the wire in through there. You can see where you can get in it on the inside. Oops. There we go. Slide that in. This is where you have room for going through where the speaker hole is. Makes it easier. Once that's coming out here, pull on that, slide the brake hose through, and pull the wire the rest of the way. All right, there we go. And we don't want this too tight. We will secure this down after everything's all run in the correct location. When we're trying to get inside the cab of the vehicle, there is a little space at the bottom of where the connector is. So you're gonna run the wire straight through here. So at the bottom, but we have to get inside. So we're gonna have to take some of these panels out first. And we're gonna pull this panel up, just get underneath here, just with a trim tool. Just pops it up. And then you're gonna pull it straight back. It comes off like that. Now on the inside here, I'm gonna take my brake tube, brake line, and try to get this lined up. I'm gonna find where that comes out, right there. Once that's out, we can feed the wire in there. Just do the same. Once that's in there a little bit, just pull it through. and just pull the wire through. Now I'm going to connect this connector back up so that everything's the way it's supposed to be, or at least this part. It's lined up. Lock that down. Make sure the wire's out of the way. And lock that back in place. That looks good. We can lock the other grommet in place as well. And slide this grommet in. So that's sealed. Make sure that goes all the way around. So that's good in there. If you need to, you can pull the wire one way or the other. Still, that's fine. We're not going to secure those wires yet. Now we're going to have to take this panel off. There is a couple clips on the side. You have to get underneath. And just pull the cover off. You can see where the clips are. Slide that out. And we have some nuts. There's 3 that need to come out so that we can slide this out of the way. Use a 10mm socket. Take these out. There's one more that's further up, right here. You might have to use a ratchet wrench or a swivel socket and pull that nut off. Once those are out, you can just grab this junction box and just pull it to the side. You want to make sure you don't arc it on any type of metal. If you wanted to, you could carefully disconnect the battery, but we should be safe right there. Now we're going to take another one of these wire feeding tools, and from the outside under the hood, you want to stab through this grommet right here. You want to make sure you go in a direction where you're not going to stab the wires on the inside. So just get that started right there. At this point, I'm going to feed the wires through. Now you want to make sure that you already installed the passenger side, because you want to feed those wires through as well. And before I push it all the way through, I'll tape the other wire to it. Once the wire comes through the top, then I can go out there and pull it. Just pull this wire slowly until we're going to get to where I electrical tape the 2 wires together. Then just very carefully, I'm going to pull the tool and pull the wires at the same time. And it should pull them through. We got both sets of wires through here. This one is going to go to the passenger side and this one is to the driver's side. You can tell by the color of the wires. We've got white stripes on these ones, and these ones just have a couple dots. So make sure there's just enough slack on the other side where you can wrap them so they're out of the way. And we're going to come to the fuse box right here, push down on the lock, open that up, and this is where we're going to tap in to get our power For the red and white wire, we're going to tap into this fuse right here. It's a 20 amp fuse. It's the parking trailer light fuse. And if you want to turn the lights on and then check and see if there's power there, when touching the fuse, you can see that the light on the mirror comes on. And that's what we want. And then if you turn the lights off, then those lights would turn off as well. So that means that both red wires, the left side and the right side, are going to go to that circuit. So we can cut all these wires, making sure you have plenty to maneuver this around. We'll take the two red wires. Take some of the insulation off the end. Twist these together. And because we're under the hood, I'm going to use some shrink wrap to keep the elements out. I'm going to use one of these piggyback harnesses. Slide this in here. Crimp this down. Make sure that's all the way in. That's good. Crimp it down tight. Give it a wiggle. That's good. Put the shrink wrap over. I'll melt this down. Just using a heat gun. Just going to shrink this. It's going to keep the elements out of here. Be careful not to burn anything while you're doing this. Now take this fuse out. Put it next to the other one. This is going to go right here. And push that down. And you can double check, make sure your lights are working. Once you know they work, then you can secure these out of the way. And then we're going to do the same with the two black ones. And find the circuit that you want to use with the black ones. Because the wires are going to run through the fuse box right here, and the cover is going to pinch the wires, you want to file down a little area. You can use a file, or even if you have a hacksaw, you can just cut a little area out. Just like that. Then you can run the wires there. Then they're not going to get pinched. Now I'm going to shrink the shrink wrap. And lock it down. Now take the wires. You want to get some wire ties. Make sure you wire them nice and neatly out of the way. Secure those down. And then just trim the excess. Now we're just going to put a wire tie and tie up the wires as close as you can to other wires, and then you want to make sure they're not near any moving components and out of the way. And you can just trim the excess. And we have a little loop. We're just going to go under the carpet there. And again, keep it out of the way of the brake pedal. Slide this out of here. Just trim that. That's out of the way. No moving components. And you're going to do the same for the other side. Now we can move this box back in position. Just go over the studs. Take the nuts, get those started. And there's a third one up high. And we'll tighten those down. Just snug, and then tighten that top one. And I'm just going to use a ratchet wrench to tighten that one down. That's good. Where's the cover? I'm going to take the cover, slide it in position. And lock it down. Looks good. Now take this trim. We're gonna push those two clips in first. Right there. This lined up. Push it back down. Now we're gonna take some wire ties and just reaching in through the speaker hole, we want to wire tie the wire just so it doesn't accidentally get cut by the window or anything. No moving components. You can put a couple of wire ties in there. And trim the excess. Now take the grommet, line it up. You can use a pick to just push it back in. And make sure that's all set. It's good. That's out of the way. If you need to, you can wire tie this wire, but that should not be in the way of anything, so we can just leave that. Should be good. Now we'll put the speaker back in. Now we'll connect the speaker. Push that tab in. Line it up. Take the screw and snug it down. Now take this panel, slide this in place. Lock that in place and then push the push pin in. That's good. Just double check the weather stripping. Some of these clips stayed in the door. We're going to take those out. I'm just going to use a clip removing tool. Just pop these out. These clips are just going to go back in the door panel. Just slide those in place. just like that. Now line the connector up, and then ratchet that down, push down on the lock. Little wire retainer right there, push that down. Take the cable, slide the ball in, end, lock that down. And the lock rod, we want to pull the lock rod off. We can slide that into the door panel, just like that. Get the door panel all lined up. All the push pins lined up. Alright, those are all the way on. Now put the screws in, snug it down. And put these screws in. Put this cover in, this side's gonna go down. And it's gonna lock in place. Just push it down, and this cover, line it up, lock it in place.